Welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through the show. And I'm really excited today because our guest is, she's doing some really cool things with marketing, and I'm a marketing guy. So I am super excited to talk to her. And she is Chaffey Lakic, and she is a dedicated realtor with over 7 years of experience, known for her integrity, her expertise, her client-focused service. She's, of course, a member of NAR and vice chair of the Seattle King County Realtors YPN. I was a YPN chair member myself here in Chicago for years, and I love YPN. So everybody should go to your YPN events and serve as well. But she stays connected to real estate professionals and is at the forefront of industry trends to provide top tier guidance. And this is incredible. In 2025, Bella was named to the NAR 30 Under 30 class of 2025, which is national recognition that highlights the top 30 real estate professionals under 30 from across the entire country. And that was, I think, in her 6th year. So she's been doing this for a while as a very young person. Whether assisting first-time buyers, navigating new construction, or facilitating resales, Bella ensures a seamless experience. Her commitment to excellence is unwavering, no matter the price point. Beyond her real estate career, she is deeply involved in her community as the founder and president of the nonprofit Alexander's Hope. We're going to find out about that. And she lives on a hobby farm where she has animals and all sorts of cool things with her husband, her 2 young daughters, and the other, and of course, the animals I just mentioned. Follow her on Instagram. She does really cool stuff on social. So Bella Chaffey Real Estate is where you find her on IG, and then YouTube, which I'm really going to have you check out, is Bella Chaffey. Follow those. We have those in our description. But what she's doing on YouTube is really extraordinary. We're going to talk about that too. All right, Bella, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
I am excited to talk to you. And you got your license really early. So I want to start there because I always find that, like, at 22, there's no way I would have known how to do, well, whatever. I was barely, like, I don't know. I was barely functioning as an adult at 22, but you had your life together. So every piece of advice you were given was built for somebody with a 20-year-old sphere, which is awesome because 22-year-olds do not have that. But you did it anyway. You hit NAR's 30 Under 30 last year. When did you realize the script you were handed wasn't going to work for you?
I feel like it took me a little bit longer than it should have. I was just told to do a bunch of things that they're proven they work well for people. But as a 22-year-old, it was not the right path, the right things for me to be doing necessarily. It was reaching out to your friends. And it's like, my friends are poor.
They're renting.
They cannot afford a house.
Or they're staying at home with mom and dad trying to figure it out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so after a couple years, I realized in order to grow and be where I want to be, I'm going to need to do something different. And so that's kind of where I shifted to change my branding a little bit. And I honestly didn't fully dial it in until about 2 years ago. I was on the right trajectory for a little while there, but then about 2 years ago is when I took YouTube more seriously and other ways to get to reach a broader audience more seriously.
Yeah, we're going to get into what you're doing on YouTube because we were just talking about this before we went live, and I was saying, and again, I'm just making this number up, but it's probably close to true, that 99% of agents really ignore YouTube. They focus all their energy on the most disposable social media platforms, meaning their content kind of comes and goes. And YouTube is a search engine. It's not really a social media platform. I mean, it sort of is, but not really. It's really where people go to search for content. And Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, people aren't really searching on there. At least I don't think they are. They're scrolling. And so your content comes and goes. Maybe somebody goes to your account on Instagram and looks at old videos, but probably not. And what you're doing on YouTube is particularly cool. So before we get to that, I want to really address something that is said often, but not always great advice for a 22-year-old, which would be just work your sphere, which you said, hey, my sphere isn't really my clientele right now. Maybe I help them find an apartment or something after college, but that's probably about it. It's funny. I just did a video on this the other day. I didn't know this. And sort of shame on me for not knowing, the average home buyer right now is 59 years old. The average, no, sorry,
Wow.
that's the median age for the home buyer. So basically average. So these are baby boomers, count for 4 out of 5 buys right now. Like, it's insane. And only 21% are millennials that are buying. So even, we know like the average first time home buyer now is 41, which is insane. So all this marketing is really, we focus it on younger people. And it's not that we shouldn't hit that demo, like how to buy your first condo or first home, but it's not where people are buying right now. It's crazy. And 1 out of every 5 baby boomers pays entirely in cash. Like, that was another stat. So we are just marketing to the wrong people. I'm not saying you are not, but it's like, who's making content for those people? Like, almost nobody. So that's another quick opportunity. But anyway, we'll get back to Bella. I just wanted to go off on a little soapbox there because I just learned these stats and it blew me away. But okay, so we talk about, like, agents hearing just work your sphere. And obviously that isn't really what you were able to do right away. So what's your honest take today on when sphere advice works and when it's setting somebody up to fail? Like, obviously we could say maybe a 22-year-old, unless they're like super well connected with their parents, friends, or something, maybe. But is your sphere more important today than it used to be? Or is it still not something that really resonates with your peer group?
My sphere is definitely more important today than it was when I was 22. My friends are buying houses and homeowners now, which is not everybody, but some people are, which is awesome. As well as just being in front of more people, like family, friends, and just people that I've known forever. And I think part of that too is when you're so young, it's hard to get people to trust you with their biggest asset,
Yeah.
and when
Yeah.
you've been in the business for 7 years and people have seen what you've done, or it doesn't need to be 7 years, when you've been in the business for a handful of years and people have seen what you've done, have positive reviews, and see that you're staying busy, they're going to trust you trust you more. So my sphere, I think your sphere is always important, even when you're 22 years old, just reaching out to people, letting them know what you do. That is important. But my sphere was not going to be, it wasn't like, oh, call these people and you will now all of a sudden be busy with business because of your sphere.
Yeah, I always say that for especially younger agents, it's like your sphere, maybe they become your clients when, if they're young, like your network was at that time, but maybe they become your advocates, right? Maybe they know people. But even then, 22-year-olds, they probably just don't know a lot of people that are buying or selling. But maybe that's the play at that time, or at least what's cool about your situation is they got to watch you grow up. Grow up maturity wise. Grow up your business, and they got to see all the cool stuff you're doing, and they got to see that repeated over and over again in social media, and they probably check out your YouTube channel too. And so they're seeing you, and now you're probably just the obvious choice. So in some ways, if you were going to stay in for your whole life career, this being your career, it was like the smartest thing to do is start at 22, even though it was like the hardest thing as well.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
all
and it
those
works
people
well for me now.
are going to use you.
Yeah, it works well for me now. Didn't necessarily back then.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about your husband briefly because, which I normally don't talk about people's spouses, but this person is very much tied into some of the cool stuff you're doing, and I think it's so cool that you have this. So your husband is actually an award-winning filmmaker, and he shoots your listing videos, he shoots your marketing videos for YouTube and all over. And we could say that's maybe a slightly unfair advantage, but obviously great for you, that most agents, they're not going to have that, right? So for somebody without a filmmaker at home, what does somebody actually need to really start making video that doesn't look like every other realtor? So just wondering, like, if you didn't have your husband to help, which he is, oh my God, his editing is insane. But like, if you didn't have that, would you be doing the editing, or would you hire that out? Or what would you do if you didn't have money to even hire an editor? I'm curious on what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I do think you can always do stuff by yourself. I see so many people with YouTube channels, like realtors too, that have YouTube channels that are not, the filming and the editing isn't it, it's the education, and then you are able to grow it that way. And so filming on, yeah, the phone could take you a long way these days. I would, if I could, definitely hire out an editor, just because I think that would be depending on what you're trying to do, could be a little bit of a time suck unless you're talented and know what you're doing. But again, you can always learn. My husband is an advocate for YouTube University, so you
Yeah.
can teach yourself things. Um,
Yeah.
but in terms of filming, I mean, the phone does a really good job. If you're not comfortable operating a big camera, which I know I'm not, have you seen those little DJI Osmo cameras?
I
They're like
I have. They're
super,
awesome.
yeah, yeah, super cool. And you can film really well on on those, and they have stabilization and stuff. So
Yeah.
that is like a more affordable and less scary package than a big camera.
Boy, that's a great suggestion. I never thought about those because you could buy a gimbal, which is a stabilizer, and for maybe $100 or so, and put your phone on there, and that would do some of the stabilization. But you're right, the DJI little all-in-one devices, they're not that expensive, and they shoot in 4K. They look good, and yeah, there's lots of options. I agree. That's really really great advice. So the good news is you do have a professional editor because your stuff and it shows. I think it is what I love about your content is it so a lot of people will spend money on an editor when they're doing high-end luxury stuff, and I'm sure you do too, or meaning you have those that kind of editing. But I always love when it's really good content that's useful. Like you were saying, the content's the most important piece. When it's really useful content paired with good editing, it's tough to beat that. Like that is so awesome. So I think AI is going to start helping with some of the editing. I don't think it's there yet. Your husband is still way above what AI can do, and hopefully always will be. But I think it's getting better. So I think people with on a more limited budget, but again, I think you're right. It's not really the edit. It's always the content. The editing just makes it look cool. And your husband is so good at that. I'm so jealous. Let's talk about the difference between a listing video and a YouTube channel that grows, because you have an amazing YouTube channel. So what's the system behind your YouTube? Like what's the upload cadence? Like how often are you making videos? What types of videos? And how do you decide on what to film?
So my goal is one long form video a week. I don't always hit it, but we're pretty good at, even if I fell a day or two behind getting it up, then getting back onto track. Like we try to do Sundays, but I mean, life is busy, as I'm sure everybody
Yeah, you're a
knows, and it
mom,
can be
you've got
hard.
other things going on, your business, everything.
And then I try to do some short form. So I'll post it on Instagram as well. And then basically everything I'm posting on Instagram as a reel, I'm also posting as a short on YouTube, which has
Yeah.
helped grow my audience a lot. And I do get subscribers from shorts because they can reach a lot more people quicker. But I'm spending most of my effort on the long form videos. I will do like house walkthroughs. So if I have a listing that's a little more a bigger of a house or whatever, I'll do that. Or even if it's something like I recently did a condo in a nearby city that we did a walkthrough of it, but also the whole neighborhood surrounding it, which was
Yeah.
kind of a cool concept. And the videos that I've seen perform the best for me is like neighborhood tours.
Yeah.
So, because those are people, if you're thinking about like relocating, it's going to be big. So if you're thinking about relocating, you're like, hey, what is the city like? Like, what's the median prices there? What do people do? What do people like about it? What are, safety in schools, and like a million other questions. And so if you can answer that in a video that's like captivating for people, that's what has done the best for me. But then also doing like market updates and stuff, those might not get the most views. But I had a seller recently that he told me, I said, "Oh, like, how did you find me?" He said, "YouTube." And normally it's like, "Oh, I watched your neighborhood tour. I watched, whatever." He's like, "Oh, I really like your market updates." And I was like, "Yes, somebody
Yes, they're
likes them."
worth it. Somebody cares. But what's so cool, and you've looked into Sarah Maslowski, who comes on my show once a month to talk about how she does YouTube, very similar to what you're doing. She's in Georgia, you're Seattle, and you guys have very similar styles, which I think is so cool. And what she always I forgot what I was going to say about her, but what's so cool about yours is when I watch your neighborhood videos, or you're like, here's a day in the life of somebody who wants to move to this area, or here's what people need to know who want to move to this area. Oh, I know what I was going to mention is what's so cool about that content is it's completely evergreen. It's always, and it maybe gets out of date if, certain things come and go, but generally speaking, it can live for many, many years, where it's not going to live like that on Instagram, or, Instagram needs brand new stuff at all times to keep people on it. YouTube isn't really that way. So have you found that, like, some of that evergreen content, even months and months and months later, will just get you a new lead or a client? Has that ever happened?
Yeah, so my biggest, the video that's gotten me the most people, I filmed about a year ago. And it was, if you're familiar with the area, Bellevue.
Yeah.
I primarily work like on the east side of Seattle. So I did a big video, did like Bellevue and Redmond and Kirkland, and then my Bellevue one did the best. And that's, even when you just look at like the analytics of my channel, like people are, that video is continually rising and rising and rising. And then you'll post a new video and you'll be like, oh, my Bellevue video still got more views this week than the one I just posted. And that's what's so, like you mentioned, what's so cool about YouTube is they live on.
Yeah.
And then one will randomly, take off. Or this is not necessarily like super helpful, but if you do something kind of seasonal, like I've done videos that are more like in the area, like in the winter, or like pumpkin patches, like something kind of silly. And then all of a sudden the next like October rolls around. And then suddenly
Oh,
people
yeah,
are
yeah.
watching that video again because they're searching it.
Yeah, I love that. And I love Bellevue, by the way. Bellevue is such an awesome, if you go to Seattle, you probably will go to Bellevue at some point, because it's one of the coolest. I guess they call them suburbs. It's one of the cool ones. So yeah, I love Seattle. Oh, okay. So you also have a postgraduate marketing cert, and most agents don't have that. So what do you think about marketing that most agents get wrong when they're trying to create content specifically? So what do agents get wrong about content?
Oh, that's tough. I feel like I'm constantly adapting, right? Into what people are, as things change, what people are liking, more. I feel like, at least video wise, right now, what I've been seeing, or what I've been seeing for a little bit, is you, and this sounds silly because I think a lot of people know this, but like how important your hook is. And a lot of videos that I'll see, it'll be fading into the house with the address, and then you're like five
Right.
seconds in, and it's like, I haven't,
Yeah, people are gone.
I'm
Yeah.
gone. I'm so
Yeah.
far gone. And it's not that you shouldn't, say those, share that information. It's just finding a better way to hook people right away, or just even like visuals and having things be different on the emails that you're sending your sphere, or mailers that you're doing, just anything to make it a little bit more out of the box, that is going to capture somebody quicker than your generic, just listed postcard that your office has, that you like kind of plug and play. That's easy, but is that working? I don't know.
Yeah, I have a friend, Ben Lalas, who is here in Chicago, and he's done over 4,000 videos for he has his own Compass team, and he's been doing videos for 7 years. And he's like, the one thing that most people don't pay attention to, it's the only metric he really looks at, is how many people stay beyond 3 seconds. And it's
Mhm.
like, you would think, oh, my content's good. Of course, people are like, 3 seconds. Of course. It is hard, hard, hard. And Bella knows this more than anyone, to get people to stay beyond 3 seconds. Like, it is not a given. I was like when I started to do my content, which is for agents, I was like, this content is so good. Like, people are going to stick for like 45 seconds. And I was like, why are they not sticking around? This is so good. And it was like, because your hook sucked. And I just had to like go, okay, I don't know what hooks people. And our attention spans, unfortunately, have gotten shorter. And, TikToks and Instagram serving up stuff every like half a second to us. And so we don't even need 3 seconds to know if we're going to continue on. So that is great advice. And I always say, like, well, then you're like, well, how do I do that? You experiment, and you talk to AI and ask AI to help you figure that out, and then just experiment, see what works. Have you ever been shocked at like at your those 3-second numbers, or have you ever been like, wow, I just put so much time into this video, it's so good, and not because the content stinks, but just because maybe you got the hook wrong, or it's not exactly, maybe you look back at your older videos. Do you ever look back and go, oh, I didn't see what I was supposed to do there?
Oh, I've seen some really old videos where I was like, what? I don't even know what was happening here. Like this, you're obviously, it's good you did it, you learned from it, but what was going on? Like,
Yeah.
what am I talking about? everything about it is bad. But even like short form stuff now, I'll post some that I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like this is like, I'll do like house walkthroughs and like this one's gonna be great. And then it's just like it does okay, and then you do one that you kind of put like less effort into and then it just blows up and you're like, what the heck? Like
It, and we should also talk. Blowing up does not mean going viral, and I think people are fairly attuned to that now. That's not a phrase that gets used as much as it did in the past. Like you want to go viral, like I don't know. Maybe you've had something technically go viral, but your stuff is hyper focused for people that are living in the areas that you serve, which is so smart because that's who your audience and that's who you want. So you don't really care how many tens of thousands of people see it. Obviously, the more the better, but you just care that the right people are seeing it. Is that accurate?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love especially YouTube, you can't really tell as much, but on Instagram, like when you get a bunch of if I have a video that does well, right? It's not nothing crazy. Then you get followers and be like, oh, someone started following for this reel. And sometimes I'll like click on them. And then I love when you click on them and in their bio, they're like like Seattle. And they're like, yes, like the people that are living here are the ones following me. That's exactly who I want to be following me.
Yeah. Or people, which this would be, you wouldn't know, but people outside of Seattle who are thinking of moving, right?
Yeah.
Those are like the real gold because they probably don't have an agent yet. But again, you just know that it's outside of the area. So I totally understand that too. Okay. I want to switch gears. I want to talk about a story of yours that's awesome. So you had this is always like an agent's worst nightmare, and you've dealt with it. I love it. You had an appraisal that came in 90,000 under ask. So a lot of agents probably would have renegotiated, but you didn't do that. You ordered a second appraisal and you closed at the original number. Like that's hero stuff. Amazing.
Thank you.
Walk me through that decision and the conversation that you had with the buyer's agent. I want to hear how this went.
Yeah, that one was tough. I felt like this was not in 2021 when the market was crazy. It was the house it wasn't on the market for a long time, but it wasn't like we flew over list price either. And the price that we were pending at was very fair. This was a new construction house, which I think made it a little bit harder. And in the area, there's a lot of other new construction, but we had beautiful views of Lake Washington. And the other houses didn't have those views and were just not quite as nice as this one. So the comps weren't really there, but we weren't in as good as we were in a different school. We weren't in the Bellevue School District. We were outside of that. And the Bellevue School District plays a big role in appraisals over here. And so the appraiser came out and there was like a bunch of like small things that were just wrong. It was like the garage count was wrong and little things were wrong that I was like, okay, like that's not great. And then the big thing was the school district and I forget what it was. This was like almost 2 years ago, but the school district, they bumped down like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, like off the perceived value because of that we weren't in Bellevue School District. And I was like, why are all of our comps in the wrong school district? And I was just frustrated by the whole thing. And I think it should have appraised at value and I got it adjusted. And then I asked the buyer's agent, could I get another appraiser to come out here? And they're like, if you can get one done in the next, like, I forget what it was, like 3 days or something. Sure. And I was like, okay, done. And then that was my next 24 hours was finding somebody else who I could get to come out there and get it handled. And they came out and we appraised at value. We closed at value. And my seller was very happy.
That's an amazing story. I love that. So it's like, don't give up, just keep working, get things fixed, and amazing. I love that. Oh, okay. I want to talk about serving the industry, and you are a big proponent of that. I am as well. And I was on the YPN committee for the Chicago Association for 3 years. And then I was like, I need to step aside and let other people do it because it's such a popular committee to get on. But I loved every moment of it. And it was just one of my favorite experiences. Now I do other things with the association that they're not as much fun necessarily, but they are really exciting and fun too. And I'm going to keep serving. I imagine you might be too busy to even serve now, but I know that was, that has been really important to you. So I want to talk, I would love for you to speak to the audience who are all agents who absolutely, may want to consider this. I would tell everybody to do this, but you're currently on YPN, I think. And you're leaning into Washington Association, so state stuff, which is awesome. You've got the 30 under 30 thing, but what's the ROI? And again, I know you're not doing it for this reason. So I don't want to say you do this to get business because that's not the reason to do it. But what is the ROI that agents are missing when they're like, oh, I just skip my association involvement. I don't need to I just got to work on my own business. Like, why do you do it?
I feel like I didn't know enough around it. Like I wasn't nobody in my office really does that. It wasn't something that was like put in front of me really at all. And then I saw, I don't even know, I like saw some about YPN. I never even gone to an event. And I was like, I want to be on the board of it. Like this is I like this. This is really cool. And I applied and then I somehow like I don't know how, but I got on the board and got involved. And I think just being able to be around so many different people and like a constantly evolving pool of people because we have events almost every month and different people are coming to these events and you're able to meet just people in the industry that you wouldn't have met otherwise, like a lot of people outside of my my friends in the industry, my office, and like it's like I feel like I'm very was holed into a group of people and this has expanded that a bunch, which is really cool, and you're learning new things that people are doing, and, that's awesome. But then also on the client side of things, I have had people that, they'll see like, "What? You're on the board of Seattle King County Realtors?" Like, that's so cool. So there's that part of it too. The clients see that, "Oh, you're doing something like, you're actually involved
You
in a
care.
bigger"
Yeah.
yeah, group, and they people like that too. So that wasn't why I joined, but I've had it's in my little, like, email signature, so I've had clients reach out about it and they are excited to hear that. So that's also a bonus.
Yeah, I agree. I think stop posting the I just sold the huge home image post on Facebook. Okay, don't stop doing that. I'm not talking to Bella. I'm talking to our audience. And I'm not even talking to our audience necessarily, but anyone who's doing this, consider a different path. If you're just posting, look at me, I sold this home, nobody really cares. I mean, your friends are proud of you and whatever. But if you post, hey, I'm serving, and it's not a brag, it's something you should, if you're going to talk about your business, this is part of it. Hey, I care enough about this industry where I want to help make it better. And here's what I do for this industry. People really respect that. And it's something that's content as well that you can push out there. And it's not, hey, look at me, how cool I am. It is, I care. And we know that obviously people want to work with people they know who care about the industry, because if you care about the industry, it means you care about your local community too. So it all ties into sort of the overall relationships you're trying to build. So I am such a believer in that. And I feel like you basically said, it made me a better agent in a way because I got to talk to other people who were doing good things. And also the other thing about volunteering is you just get to be around people who have similar values, and you get to be around people who are like-minded and they're like, yeah, let's make this better and let's do fun things. And that's always uplifting. I always my YPN meetings were the most favorite meeting I had every month because got to see my friends and we got to talk about, what they're working on, and also helps, like you said, build great relationships. So when they see those offers coming over and you're like, oh, that's one of my friends, like that helps. So I love that. And I appreciate you serving, and everybody should consider serving, and check out your if you have YPN in your local thing, you should do it. It's super fun. And you don't have to be young actually to do it. So you just do it at any age. Okay. I want to talk about your 30 under 30. Congratulations, by the way. Amazing. God only knows how many people apply for that every year, and you got it. And so I'm so excited to talk to you about this. So you said in your profile, I want to be my client's trusted advisor for life. So every agent says this, right? But I know that this means something very important to you. So I'm going to ask you a very specific question. What does that look like after the closing? So you do the heroic, cool close, everything happens, and it's perfect. They like you. And now they're not going to move for the next 7 to 9 years. So what are you going to do to stay in touch? How do you stay involved so that they are with you for life?
Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, but it's like, you have a client, and a lot of times there's somebody that you don't know beforehand, whether it's a referral or somebody found you on YouTube or whatever it is, and you become friends with them. And it doesn't matter what life stage they're at or really anything, but you're talking so much, and they chose you for a reason, and because they trust you, but also they like you, and so there's a good chance you're going to get along. And that's how I found with a lot of my clients, and so it's easy to just stay in touch with them and just you have to remember things about them, whether it's their kids or their dogs or their hobbies or their whatever it is. And then follow up, just reach out to them a couple times a year about something that is like important to them, that is more than just a hey, how are you? Oh, have you gone skiing this season? Have you whatever? That, as well as something that I want to implement more of, is like client events and things like that. I do once a year gifts, and then but really just staying in contact with them like they're a friend, because they normally are.
Yeah, I think that's amazing advice. It's like, you know, things about them outside of real estate. You care enough to check in with them. How are the kids? How's the dog? How's whatever? You just went on this cool vacation I saw on Instagram or whatever. That's the stuff, right? Like, it doesn't it's not, hey, I need your referrals or, hey, are you moving this year? I mean, you can ask that obviously too, in a way that's not, pushy, but people just want people that care about their lives, I think. And there aren't that many industries where you get to do that in a way that in real estate you do. I like, my accountant doesn't call me and she's like, "Hey, how are the cats?" I have two. I have a sibling cat. And it sounds kind of funny to even say that, but like, and I'm not looking to switch accountants. I love my accountant, but like, wouldn't be the worst idea for her to be like, "Hey, how are the cats?" Right? But she doesn't need to, because I'm not leaving. I love her. But in real estate, it would be kind of weird to be like, "Why are you asking me about my cats?" But in real estate, people do get to know that those kind of things about you, and you get really personal with people, and intimate and vulnerable. And so I think it's this really unique opportunity to do something that other professions just don't really have that kind of information. So I think that's so awesome that it's such good. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. No pressure here, but I want to, because I just love your marketing brain. So we're gonna just set this table for you. I'm going to ask you some questions. She does not know I'm doing this, but it'll be a lot of fun. So okay, we're going to start you entirely from scratch. You're not 22
Okay.
anymore. You're
Okay.
still under 30, but we're going to start. You don't have, you have your skills, you know what to do. You have your marketing background. You don't have any contacts. So literally we plop you and place you somewhere else in the country, and no filmmaker husband. So now it's just you and your skills. Okay. First 30 days, what do you do? Just give me one thing. How would you start?
I would start. I feel like short form videos are, anybody can do those. Like, I do my home tours that I do are all on my phone. And I would start doing that and doing it every single day. Probably. If I had
So
nothing else to do
calling
and I
up
didn't know
listing
anybody.
agents, going, "Can I come do a quick home tour? I want to
Yeah.
promote your place to my audience." Simple as that.
Yeah, I just reach out to people. I mean, today, like, I do a bunch of more listings than, obviously I have. So a lot of the tours that I do are other people's listings. I just find some online that I think people might, enjoy seeing. I reach out to the agent, ask if I can do it. A lot of times they say, "Yeah, go ahead." And then I go and I do it, tag them in it, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think I would just dive into that, because anybody, I mean, I don't care what your editing or whatever skill set is, anybody can figure out how to do that. Um,
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
audience, pause right now. She just told you the most important thing that you can do, and I couldn't agree more. I absolutely would have answered it the exact same way. And I've talked to hundreds of top 1% producers, and they probably would say a very similar version of this if I asked them that exact question. I am in 100% agreement. And I want to ask you this. So you don't have any listings. You're calling up agents. "Hey, please, 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 going to come just do a 60-second walkthrough. Tell me what's cool about the house. I'll feature it, whatever. I'll promote you because it's your listing. I'll tag you, so maybe you share it as well." How many times do you get a, "No, I'm not interested"? How often do you get a yes versus a no from another agent?
Recently, I've gotten more like no responses. I would say there's been times, it's like sometimes you'll reach out and if I want to film a couple houses, I'll reach out to more than I want to film. And then sometimes everybody replies, they're like, yes. And you're like, "Oh, now I gotta film 5 houses," which not a bad problem to have. But I would say on average, probably 60% will say yes. The
It's amazing.
other maybe 30% will not reply. And then every once in a while, you get like probably not even 10%, but every once in a while you get a no. And I'm always asking too with like vacant listings too. So I'm not
Sure,
asking
sure. Yeah, you're not
I'm
trying to
not
bother the.
displacing the
Yeah,
people living there.
yeah.
Um,
I
but some people are just like, no, for whatever reason, or other people are like, like very much appalled that you asked.
Yeah, yeah, but most of the time, more than half, they're like, "Yeah, of course,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
more marketing is better."
Oh,
And,
people get
and
excited about it too.
of course, like, and you can do the same thing with local businesses, obviously, you know this, I'm just speaking to the audience. "Hey, can I come in and talk about why I love your hair salon or why I love your dry cleaner?" And we're not gonna talk about real estate. I just wanna find your story and my audience who lives in this, whatever. You would obviously do the same thing. Um, this is such good advice. And I want to speak to all the introverts out there. And I don't know if you consider yourself extroverted or introverted, but if you are an introvert, this is the best thing you could possibly do because you do it by yourself. You don't have to go out and meet people, and you are giving people content that they love. So you call listing agents, please, 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 and then, call 10 of them. You'll probably get 6, and you can go do this, and you will, over time, you probably have to do it for like 6 months at least. So don't worry about the numbers, but oh my God, that's such great advice. Okay. Thank you for that. You just answered that. You nailed that question. So,
Oh, good.
okay. Now, let's say you get to day 60 and you're doing these and you still haven't got a good footing because the algorithms still haven't figured you out yet. um, what do you do at that point? You keep going with videos, or do you pivot? So you've done 60 days worth of videos, maybe you've done 3 a week, these listing tours or whatever, but you're not really seeing a lot of traction. What do you add on, or what do you stop doing or whatever at day 60?
I would keep going. I think a lot of things take a little longer. Like for my YouTube channel, for instance, it took me like a solid year before I really like got rolling. So consistency, even when you're like, I don't questioning things, I think is important. But I would add on like something local. Try to reach the people that are living there as well, because they can refer people out to you, and you can get more of a local following as well. Obviously, you're trying to sell real estate, but if you're saying just there's a new I'm this is really I'm about ready to do a video on this. Like there's a Trader Joe's opening in Woodinville, right?
Oh,
And
people
we
get
haven't
very
had a Trader
excited
Joe's
about
there
Trader
before,
Joe's.
you
Yes, that
know?
is, yes.
And especially if it's before like people know about it, it's like, oh my God, like that's something shareable. And so then you're sharing, someone's going to send that to their friend because they didn't know Trader Joe's was opening in Woodinville. That's way more convenient than going to Kirkland or Bellevue to go to Trader Joe's. Um, and that was a very specific example, but I think everybody can relate to something like that. So I would sprinkle in other content that is localized and pinning you as a local expert. Yes, you're doing these home tours and you're talking about, you could be doing educational content, but you're also aware of what's going on in your community.
I love that as well. So in where we just moved, and m- we moved partly because the school district that we're moving into, is we're going to start a family, is like one of the best in Chicago, which is like there's some not good ones, so we had to figure that out. And just so happened that it's 3 blocks from a Trader Joe's, and so.
Yeah.
And I'm not really, I love Trader Joe's, but I just go to the regular grocery store because I have to, I cook a lot and stuff. And Trader Joe's isn't always the best for that. But my wife is like Trader Joe's all the way. That's like all she goes to. And that was a huge deal for her. She was like, oh my God, I can walk to Trader Joe's. And then we have a coffee shop that is now opening on the same block at the corner. And she is so excited. She is watching it daily. And she's not a realtor, so she's not a content person. But if she was, and we're in Roscoe Village in Chicago, she would be posting weekly, like, they've got the machines in the back, they're almost ready to open up, because there's not really a coffee shop nearby. And there's also a Collectivo, which is another like sort of regional coffee thing now it's going on down the street. That's new too. So anyway, she would be so excited about telling people about this, and people do care about stuff like that. So I love that. You know what? We're going to move on from this because you just gave people the 2 greatest ideas for content marketing I have heard. So amazing. Guys, I think this is a perfect place to wrap this episode. I have a homework assignment for everybody. So based on everything Bella's really said. So I was thinking about it all throughout the episode and I want to share it with you guys. So here's what I want you to do. So before the next episode this week, not next month, this week, I want you to pick a neighborhood that you actually know well and shoot a 90-second vertical video walking a street. Like, keep it really simple, not a listing, just a street. So edit it on your phone. It's easy. Use CapCut or whatever, or you maybe don't even edit it, but have a little script you're going to say, post it. By the way, if you are looking for a good script system for your phone, I wish I got like a commission off this, but teleprompter.com is what I use. They are awesome. And it overlays the script right on top of your video, which I didn't even know was possible on iPhone, and it also works on Android. You do this and it will, what's so cool about teleprompter.com is that they have a thing where using AI, it hears your voice and it will auto move to the next word after it hears you say the previous word. So you don't have to worry about scroll speed or anything. It's all done with your cadence. And it's so cool. It's a little expensive. It's like $20 a month, or if you buy annually, I think it's like $8 a month. So it's not that expensive, but you can write the script, walk down the street, and nobody will know you're reading a script. It is so, watch my videos. It looks like I memorize these crazy scripts. I did not. I am literally reading them. So you can do this. And if you want content on that particular neighborhood, first of all, you probably know the content anyway, but go into AI and say, hey, don't use the AI speak that everyone knows when you're saying certain phrases, like have it remove all that, but have it give you some ideas of like, highlight this. And it can help you with that script. Get teleprompter.com if you need help memorizing. I do. And just walk down the street in your neighborhood, do this. You now have a content asset, and post it to YouTube. Post it everywhere else too, but really post it to YouTube. You now have this content asset and a reason to call one neighbor and ask what they think. Hey, what do you think of this content, right? So if Bella can build a business on the East Side, Seattle this way, like you can start one on your block literally this weekend. Okay, Bella has been our guest. She is amazing. I want everybody to follow her. Oh, by the way, she, of course, is always open to connecting with other agents who might have clients who are moving into the Seattle area, right? That's a very desirable place to live, and it is always moving. So if you are an agent and you have people that move, or maybe you have maybe you live in an area that people who retire from Seattle or move from Seattle move into, she would love to connect with you and see if you guys might be a good fit. Look at her content. You will see how amazingly professional she is. She's so great. So I want you to reach out to her. You can find her. YouTube is Bella Chaffey. I'll have a link to that. Her Instagram, Chaffey Real Estate. Anyway, we'll have links to everything. Reach out to her. Oh, and you know what? One thing I do want to ask before we run, tell us about Alexander's Hope. This is your nonprofit. I apologize. I meant to get to this sooner. Please let us know what this is.
Oh, no worries. So I'll give you the real quick rundown. Alexander's Hope we've been around for about 9 years. My brother Alexander suffered from an undiagnosed and then misdiagnosed heart condition, and he ended up getting a heart transplant when he was 19. He was really, really fortunate to survive. And because of this, we learned a lot about, organ donation for one, but also heart issues in young people and how they can often be overlooked. For him, it was like they thought he had anxiety because he was 19. 19-year-olds should be having heart attacks, right? And it got to the point where something that would have been a big deal ended up escalating to being a heart transplant because it wasn't caught on time. And so we partner with the Nick of Time Foundation, which is another local nonprofit to us that have actually helped start nonprofits to do similar things in I don't know how many other states, but quite a few other states. So there could be something similar where you live. And we, with them, go to a local high school about once a month to screen for heart conditions. So we do EKGs and echocardiograms. We teach all the kids that go through CPR and how to operate an AED. If there's if you see somebody in sudden cardiac arrest, being able to respond to that and have an initial reaction and know where your AED is on your school. And then these kids are all getting their heart screened to test for any undiagnosed heart conditions. We've screened well over 30,000 kids, and over 600 have been found that have a heart condition, which is huge.
That's amazing. So glad that you were able to share that. And heart disease, let's remember, I believe it's still the number 2 cause of death for adults in this country. Cancer, I think, is number 1, and 2 is second is heart disease. So this is a thing that affects almost all of us at some point are people that we love. So my cousin, funny enough, I just remembered this, who also lives in Seattle, is working on a handheld defib with the company that he's with. He's like an engineer genius type. And this is going to be handheld defib devices for people that are undergoing cardiac, emergencies, that are going to be able to be sold to the public. And they're like 1 or 2 use. No one's ever made this before. And they're way better than the paddles. It's fascinating. So that is coming up. I should connect you two so you guys can talk about this, because what he's doing at the company he works at is truly incredible. And he happens to be a local guy. So I just remembered that. But yeah, alexandershope.org is where, if you want to participate or make a contribution or get involved, that's where you go, .org. We'll have a link to that in the show notes as well. And thank you for bringing that to all of our awareness, and appreciate your service for that as well. And I'm glad your brother is good. Okay. On that note, we want to thank everybody for sticking around to the end. We appreciate you. Please tell a friend. That's the best way you can help us grow. Think of another agent that needs to hear this great interview that we just did with Bella, and she was so awesome. So send it out to other agents, and we would appreciate that. And then, as always, thanks you to our sponsors. On behalf of the audience, thank you to Bella. On behalf of Bella and myself, thank you to the audience. We wouldn't be able to do it without everybody's support, and we love you. So we will see everybody on the next episode.